Okay, so in this lesson, you are going to be learning the basics of printing messages to the screen in Python. Right? So when you're running a computer program, it's going to be constantly interacting with the user, and you're going to need to know how to send information from your program to the user so they know what's going on. Right? So I just call those messages in programming. Now, the command for Python that you need to use is the print command. So it's just print, okay? And it has two brackets. So this is a built-in function in Python. And what you have to do is you have to send to it what you want to print to the screen. And what you send to it has to be what we call a string, right? Or a word or a sentence or the value of a variable that stores data from your program. Okay, so we're just dealing with the string aspect, so just messages today. We'll deal with variables in the next lesson. So what you do is the message you want to print to the screen, you just type in a set of quotes inside the brackets. Okay, so you can actually use double quotes or you can use single quotes in Python. I always use double quotes. That is solely because I'm used to, say, some other programming languages like Java and the variations of C, which would require strings to have double quotes and characters to have single quotes. But Python doesn't have that character data type, so it doesn't distinguish between single characters and strings. So I'm going to use double quotes in this course. You feel free to do whatever you want. You might see on the internet people just using single quotes. Okay? So if I wanted to print the word hello to the screen, right, I would just surround the word that I want to print in a pair of double quotes. Okay? And if I run this program, you will see whatever gets put inside here show up in your console, in the Python console. So there we go. So whatever is in there is going to be printed to the screen. All right. I can have as many print statements as I want in my program. Your programs run from top to bottom, executing each line as it goes. Okay. So if I were to put another print statement underneath here, okay, say world, hello world is a typical programming thing that has been done, I think, since the beginning of time, because I'm getting pretty old and I used to learn about, this is the kind of the first program you write is your hello world program way back in the 90s. So if we run that, okay, you notice that it prints on 2 lines. Okay, so every print command from Python will return a new line character at the end of it, so your cursor gets put to the next line. Okay, you can change that if you want. So if you wanted to, you could force your character to, or so your cursor to stay at the same spot on the screen from where you last wrote the code, but you just have to add something here. So you can write end equals, and then what you write next could be kind of whatever you wanted, but if you just want the cursor to stay where it is, you just put a pair of empty quotes. And if you were to say run something like that, you can see hello world show up, and the world gets printed directly beside where the last character was printed from the previous print statement. You can actually put anything you want in here, right? So if you wanted a space in there and run the program, it would put a space. If you wanted to put like an asterisk or something like that, okay, you can do that too. So it's kind of just a statement to saying, okay, at the end of my print statement, I want to put something else, okay? And it doesn't return to the next line when it's finished. Okay, so perhaps some common errors that you might see or you might forget when you're doing this is to forget the end bracket. Okay, sometimes you're typing, you get really fast, you don't really notice, you might forget a bracket at the end. Okay, so that will generate a syntax error, okay, when you run your program. Okay, and it doesn't necessarily tell you where it is. It kind of gives you a hint, but just keep in mind you're going to have to kind of scan. It will usually tell you the line below where the error is. So I only have one command here, so it's not going to show you that, but you're going to get used to seeing and debugging your code. But helpful hint is look at kind of the line below, the line above, where your output window is telling you the error is, and that's kind of a good indication of what's going on. Okay. So forgetting that bracket is a common problem, and also forgetting the last or the second double quote is also the issue. Okay. This one's a little bit better. It kind of told you, kind of pointing to where it might be, but you're still going to have to troubleshoot your errors at some point. Okay, and there are also some other characters that you can print to kind of make your output a little bit better. So things like printing a double quote on the screen isn't as easy as you might think it should be. So if I wanted to say print hello in double quotes, right, I can't do something like this. Okay, right? That's what you would expect, right? But look, it doesn't. It's not keeping in the same color. I mean, your editor might be different than mine. I've changed my colors on Spider to match what I've been doing online. But it didn't color code it correctly, right? And I tried to run that program. It tells me it's invalid syntax. That's because it's expecting kind of one string. So it's thinking it wants to print this kind of blank character to the screen, but then it's finding this hello afterwards, and it doesn't know what to do with that, so it generates an error. So what you need to do in this case is you use what's called an escape character, okay, which is the slash like this. So when the print function encounters this combined with another valid character after it, it will know what to do. Okay, so if you want to print double quotes, you actually have to put the slash in front of the double quote that you actually want to print. You still need the outer double quotes to indicate that it's a string, but this is called an escape character. Okay, so now when you run it, okay, you have the double quotes beside it. Okay, and same for a single quote, because in Python you could have single quote strings. So if you wanted, oops, what did I do? So see, I forgot the double quote. Okay, so there you get your double quote printed, sorry, your single quote printed there. Now you can also do tabs, right? That might be useful if you're kind of trying to organize a table or doing a title or something. You could tab over your messages that you're trying to print to the screen, and the escape character for that is a /t. Okay, so if you did hello like that, so notice it tabs over before printing it. You could put as many of those as you wanted in there. Okay, so multiple tab statements, and it just keeps moving it over. Okay, you could put it in between letters as well. Okay. Okay, so it tabs over everything. So it's called escape because it stops it stops the regular running of printing the character, and it does what it's been told to do. Okay. Another one that you might find useful is actually to print a new line character on your own instead of waiting to go to the end of a print statement. Okay. So let's say you wanted to print hello world. So I want this hello world on 2 lines, but I only want to use one print statement. Then I can force it to do a new line character. So the /n is a new line character. So now that will print whatever is after it on the next line. So it means go to the next line. Okay. So sometimes I would use that, say, at the start of your program, right, or after another print statement. So I should maybe like this. So hello, and then print world. So this will kind of give you like a double space type of idea if you wanted to space messages out onto the screen a little nicer, right? But it's just for formatting. And finally, maybe the last escape character that might be useful would be the to actually print a slash, right? Because this is an escape character, right? You can't just print, let's say you wanted hello to print on the screen, but like surrounded by a slash. That might be useful for like a date or something like that. So you know how you'd have like month, day, year, they tend to separate them by slashes. So something like this is going to give you an error, right? First, it wouldn't know what the slash H is because it's not a valid escape character. And second, it would know that this would be a double quote, but it wouldn't have another double quote afterwards to complete the string. So it's going to give you multiple errors for something like that. So if you actually want to print a slash, you have to put 2. Okay. All right. So there will print your message in between a slash. So just a little bit of formatting that you can do for your messages on the screen. So it's pretty straightforward, right? If you want to print something, a message to the screen, you're just using the print command. Put your message inside double quotes. Don't forget the brackets. Don't forget the pair of double quotes. They always go in pairs. Okay? And if you want to do a little bit of formatting, you can use these escape characters to complete the task.